Thank you, everybody, for coming. My name is Stuart Lichter. I'm the president of Industrial Realty Group and the new proud owner of this facility, and I'm really excited to be here. This is a great day. So I'm going to have some other comments to make, but first, what I'd like to do is I've been appointed MC here at the last minute, so excuse me. The first thing I'd like to do is to introduce Elaine Allison, the mayor of Moraine, for some comments. I see somebody with a hand to their ear. Can you not hear me? I'll try to speak louder. That's one problem with a cavernous facility like this. It's pretty hard to project the voice, so I apologize for that. But first, what I'd like to do is to introduce Elaine Allison, the mayor of Moraine, for some comments about the facility and how we got here, and then I will come back on and tell you more about how we got here and what we hope to do with this wonderful facility. Elaine?
It's an honor to be standing here today where so much history has taken place in this spot. We should remember this site's past history as we move forward. Let me give you a brief overview so that everyone has an appreciation of this site's importance, not just to the city of Moraine, but to the region and actually the nation as a whole. So slide back to the early 1900s. This location was originally the Speedwell Motor Car Company, which I had never heard of myself. 1907, Speedwell was an early United States automobile manufacturer. They produced cars in Dayton for about 7 years. They're most famously known for producing a closed two-door car, which came to be known as a sedan, which was the first known use of that terminology. So you can see how far back our car history has gone here in the city. Speedwell leased a portion of this facility in 1909 to the Dayton Wright Airplane Company to build the Wright Model B, which was the first ever built mass-produced airplane. During World War I, the Dayton Wright Airplane Company produced more than 4,000 DH-4 and standard SJ-1 aircraft. They also produced the XPS-1, which is the first airplane held by the United States Army that had retractable landing gear. 1919, the site moved into the Frigidaire era, which is one that more people are familiar with. 1919, GM purchased the Dayton Wright Airplane Company factory for its Frigidaire division. In October 1921, the first refrigerator came off of the line with an original cost of $714. Within 5 years, a new manufacturing plant was constructed to meet the need for refrigerators. Everybody wanted one. And by 1940, the plant was producing one refrigerator every 17 seconds and employed over 12,000 people, 12,000 people here at this site. With the start of World War II, the plant was producing 50 caliber Browning machine guns, control systems for the B-52 Mitchell bomber, and propellers for several aircraft. With the war ending, Frigidaire increased its employment levels here to over 18,000 people, introduced a new line of home laundry equipment. When the 50s came and went, the plant built its 12 millionth refrigerator, announced plans for an additional building here on the site. The Moraine Assembly Plant was built in 1950 to produce washers, dryers, and refrigerators. And by 1955, this plant had an all-time high of 20,000 employees here. Then we enter the automobile era again. In 1979, the Frigidaire nameplate was sold to White Westinghouse, and General Motors announced they are renovating the plant for production of light-duty pickup trucks and diesel engines. The first truck produced here at the Moraine Assembly Plant was a Chevy S10, rolling off the line in August of 1981. The next year, the Moraine Assembly Plant became a part of the newly formed Truck and Bus Division, and in 1983, this plant would receive the first of 6 consecutive awards honoring achievement for the highest quality of any truck and bus assembly. We had a great workforce here and still continue to have one. In 2000, the new GA building was built, had several updates to the body shop, and along came the new SUV model. We're producing Trailblazers, Envoys, and other vehicles here. In 2006, the plant celebrated its 25th year producing vehicles on this site, and in 2007 produced its 6 millionth vehicle. Unfortunately, due to economic times, as we all know, felt heavily here in the region, on December 23, 2008, the plant closed with the white Envoy SUV as the last truck rolling off of the assembly line. This plant closing was even the subject of an HBO documentary called The Last Truck, directed by Stephen Bognar and Julia Reichert from this area, and was nominated for an Academy Award. Around the time of this plant closing, I'm going to embarrass Dave Hicks here, our city manager Dave Hicks came across an article about Stu Lichter and his company, Industrial Realty Group, which we all know as IRG. Having nothing to lose and everything to gain, Dave called Stu out of the blue. And the conversation went something like this. Mr. Lichter, this is Dave Hicks from the city of Moraine. I've got this 4 million square foot empty GM plant here. Stu says, well, maybe I'll come look at it. To which Dave says, no, I really don't want you just to come look at it. I want you to buy the plant. And as I say, the rest is history. With much support from our local, regional, state, and federal leaders, we've all negotiated the choppy waters to bring us here to this point. Here today in this location with such a glorious history, we're now looking forward to the next exciting chapter of this site's book. I'd like to thank everyone who has helped us get here today. Thank you all very much.
Thank you. Thank you. I've been really fortunate in my life to have had the opportunity to take a lot of facilities like this around the country and be successful and recreate jobs and bring facilities like this back. And very often we do it, we get a lot of help from people, everybody's helpful. And what I would like to do is not really focus on my company and our history. I'd like to focus on what we plan for this facility. But first, I'd like to focus on the unbelievable effort that got us here today. Because, thanking people is a tradition at facilities like, at occasions like this. And what I really want to tell you is that I have never, ever gotten the help that I've gotten in this facility. From that first phone call that was referred to with Dave Hicks, where I was in the middle of something really important, and I kind of semi blew him off and said, "You got 5 minutes to pitch me." and Dave was like a gnat. You're going to buy this facility. I've checked it out. You're the right person. You're the right company. And as we had bumps along the way, Dave was always there, sending letters, calling the senator, calling congresspeople, calling whoever he needed to call, and him as well as the other people in the city, from Elaine and everybody else in the city, the mayor, throughout this process have just bent over backwards to help us. One of the issues we had here is that with all the car plants that are closing, our big competition is knocking these things down because of the value of the materials you see. Commodity prices are very high now. This plant was threatened with demolition. We turned in that auction process to Senator Brown, to the congresspeople, Mike Turner, to a bunch of other people. And when you're up here, you're always going to forget people, so I apologize in advance. But I really want to point out that Sherrod Brown went out of his way to interfere, maybe I shouldn't use that word, but to make sure that the future employment was considered on this facility, and that the people who would scrap it and pocket a quick profit and leave a shell in the city of Moraine did not have an opportunity to get into this competition. And if you look at the plants around the country, that has not been the case on many of them. There are some plants that are being demolished for the parts, where jobs will never come back. And to me, that's like destroying a road or a bridge. And we really have to thank the city officials here, the senator, the congressman, and John Usted, who called me continually about, that's my home district. I know you do wonderful things. You need to be here. What do I need to do? It's been an unbelievable effort of people. Debbie Feldman, the county commissioners, everybody here. We've just been welcomed with open arms. And I do realize the responsibility that's been put on our shoulders. We take it really seriously. We love this facility. We love Moraine. And we're committed to making this a very, very successful venture. With that, I'd like to have my partner, Chris Emergen, who is one of the brightest real estate people I've ever met.
Oh, God. What does he want this time? Thank you.
Even though he is a bit of a jerk. To outline our plans for the facility and to show you some of our renderings and drawings.
Thanks,
Chris?
Stu. Appreciate it. Thanks, everybody, for coming. And, the question we get all the time on these projects are, what are you going to do with the big auto plant? I mean, there's so many empty in the country. What can you possibly do with 4 million square feet? Well, first of all, we teamed up with a very successful group, and that's Woolpert Company. Shane M. Wally and his team have been instrumental in helping us develop all these designs, come up with concepts. So we've named the park Progress Park, and you see it says reuse, rework, revitalize, and that's right in our power alley. If you're building a new building, we do it, yes, but that's not our claim to fame. We're really good at taking these big monsters and right-sizing them for the market. There's no one tenant that's ever going to come back in here or buyer and reutilize the whole building. So we need to figure out how to take these pieces, parts, and acclimate them to the marketplace and what the users tell us they need and get a very efficient envelope and a working place. We've actually shown this to a few people, so it might not be that much of a surprise, but hopefully the media hasn't seen it before. There's about a 4.2 million square foot complex on over 300 acres. And what we did, we focused on the main facility. And right now, this is a building that approaches 3.8 million square feet right here. And on our project, we've developed 3 potential buildings that can house up to maybe 8 companies or 9 companies. So we'll literally take this 800,000 square foot building that was built in 1999 that cost several $100 million, and we'll make it a potential freestanding building. Now, that's our plan. If a user comes in tomorrow and needs 1.2 million square feet, we're not going to knock a portion of it down. So we have this main facility here, we call this assembly. 800,000 square feet, it could be a 2-user building, a 3-user building. We've already had one company look to potentially buy this and consolidate about 3 or 4 of their operations into this facility. Here's 741 right here. We have this facility that runs down 741. It has railroad service. More and more today with the cost of transportation, plastics, paper, chemical industry, lumber, rails is an essential part. You don't see a lot of big buildings today built with rail. So having 2,000 feet of rail service inside the building in 3 miles of rail track on the site is a huge advantage. So you'll see this building that could be a single user building, could be multi-tenanted to 6 or 7 users. Then we have South Assembly. We designed that for 3 potential users, maybe 4, the market will tell us. And then we have the paint building, which is near and dear to my heart. That was built in the mid-90s. If you walk in the building today, it's 14 feet clear. I think Moraine and GM did a study that this building was non-usable. Stu and I walked in, and with the help of the Woolpert structural engineers, we determined that we could take the floor out. We've done it before. So we're literally taking the ceiling out of the building to create a building that's about 45 feet high. So this 340,000 square foot building will be over 40 foot clear. We have a group of about 4 users that might be coming together and anchoring a portion of this. There's no deal yet. It's strictly discussion purposes. But being a 40-foot clear building with the amount of power it has, the potential of the rail, the big parking lot site is attracting users because you don't have that type of product everywhere in the market. The balance of the site, which you don't see on there, this site goes all the way up. There's a stretch here that used to be the old motor plant, right in the middle. We have a plan, and we've worked out a project with the city of Moraine where we're going to develop a park that can be broken down into 5, 10, 20, 30,000 square foot users. And we're actually going to donate the land or give the land to each of those companies to use as their potential down payment or equity in a transaction. We know right now it's very hard to get debt in the real estate market, but maybe having that land, having that seed and going to their lender at that point will allow them to get a project off the ground. And we're not really going to be able to accommodate a 20 or 30,000 square foot user in our complex. So we felt that would be a nice complement to what we're doing, give Moraine kind of a competitive advantage in the marketplace, and also utilize land that might not get redeveloped in the future. Just to give you a couple perspectives, this is the building you actually walked in, thanks Shane, walked in today. And one of the issues you get when you come into a complex like this is it's so big, it's so vast, there's so much concrete that we try to personalize this. So what we're going to do is actually pull out some of the concrete and create some landscaping and develop a nice warm entryway where someone feels like they have their own front entrance. So nobody will be walking through anybody's space. We demise these things off, we create their own office entrances, their own loading, their own bathrooms, so on. So this is one of the entranceways which we'll take this corner and develop. And there's a media packet, by the way, for everybody. When you leave, you can see some of these. Also, this is the paint building we were talking about. So this is a south elevation when you're coming up 741 that you actually see. And right now it's a big white wall. So we wanted to give some of these companies, especially a high-tech group, the feeling that we can create a tremendous amount of office. It doesn't have to just be an industrial facility. So this can go office, this can go tech, it could go distribution, R&D. So this office component right now is probably about 80,000 square feet. Could be a 2-story office. And we can punch a lot of glass in the plant to give somebody a very modern, open, light feel. So these are just a couple of the concepts we came up with so far, but everything we do is geared around the user. So when the user tells us what they need and we do a deep dive, we'll come back and develop the project around the user specifically. Thank you very much.
The one thing I'd like to emphasize, because what I never want is people to feel that we came in here and promised something and didn't produce. These are renderings. What Chris said about everything for us about the user, one of the reasons we're successful as a company is that we adapt the building for the user, right? These are to show somebody. We've converted a lot of our buildings to office, parts of them to offices and schools. These are to create visions. If our actual user comes here and says, I don't want your beautiful entrance. I want a cheaper price. I want to bring jobs, right? This is a vision. This is not necessarily what it will look like, right? This is what we hope it would look like if we get users who really want an upgrade. There are also users out here who just want the cheapest deal they can get and economics. And what we're committed to doing is bringing jobs and business back here. We're not committed to the pretty picture. So we hope that it's a pretty picture, but we just want to make clear that is one of many visions of the place. The same thing with the breakdowns into multiple buildings. We will be totally tenant-driven, and if somebody wants something different, that's what we do. That's one of the reasons we're successful. So, with that, we're going to have 3 speakers. First, we're going to have up Senator Brown. As I said before, Senator Brown, it is unbelievable how instrumental he was that we are here today, right? This man has taken every phone call personally, has gone out of his way to do whatever was needed to make this happen, and everybody should know that we appreciate it and we value what he has done here. Our second speaker will be Representative Turner, right, who also was very helpful to us in this process, helped us, with the, framing the auction, helped us whenever we called. And last, we will have John Usted, who called me like almost as early as Dave Hicks did, and just said, this is my district, you will come to this facility. We've checked out your company, and whatever I need to do, right, to make that happen, we will make it happen, and he was true to his word. So first, I'd like to welcome and again thank Senator Brown.
Stuart, thank you, and it's such a great day, and I'm just thrilled to be part of this. Thank you all for
all the work that you did. Dave Hicks especially, thank you. Secretary Husted, thanks for the work you did and the persistence that you showed. Congressman Turner and I have had, frankly, too many problems to work on together, from DHL to the VA to this today. This is obviously a very good news story, and many other things with his work on armed services, and I appreciate his effort. Mayor, thank you for the history. It was terrific. I know that the late Mayor Rosencrans his dream was this, and he would have been so thrilled to be here, and you're taking over as the mayor. You've done such outstanding work, and thank you for putting this in historical perspective. On Chris and Stuart, I had breakfast with Stuart maybe a year ago with Jack Dover from my office, whom Shane has worked with so much, and the commissioners and others, and Stuart has a vision all over the country, and he is focused in Ohio and many sites in Ohio. And what do we do in this industrial era when we still care about manufacturing in this country? City Manager Hicks and I were talking about the role of manufacturing still in our society. Congressman Hobson and I were earlier, just a few days ago, late last week, in Springfield at Navistar, and that's a plant that looked like it might have closed, but it was local businesses and the company and the union and city officials that work together. There are 600 or 700 people back at work there. That number is going to grow in the weeks ahead, we think, with a new Navistar truck. And we're seeing people, as we saw at the Mound, we're seeing all over this area, finally, people, elected officials, business people, understanding, city activists, understanding how important manufacturing is to us as a nation. Go back 30 years ago, manufacturing was more than 25% of our GDP. In banking and financial services were about 10% of our GDP. That number is flipped. Manufacturing is only 10 or 11% of our GDP today. In financial services is 25, 26%. I mean, look what that got us as a nation. And that's why this is so important. It's why the work that Chris and Stuart are doing is so important to the future of this country, the future of the Miami Valley, the future of this state, the future of the middle class, because the ticket to the middle class, Mike and I were talking when there were almost 20,000 people working here, and Dave Hicks and I were talking about the whole community evolved around shift change here. The school buses made sure that the schools made sure that school let out at a time different from shift change because of the traffic that came out of this plant. And we'll never have 20,000 people work here, obviously. And Stuart's caution always not to overpromise is really key. But we still have a huge future in manufacturing. We're the third leading manufacturing state in America. Only Texas and California are larger, and they're 2 and 3 times our population. And we know how to make things here. We'll continue to know how to make things here. This is such an important step for the Miami Valley, such an important step for Moraine, and understanding workers will come from all over the valley, from Huber Heights and Lebanon and Dayton City and all over this community, Kettering and all over this region. But this is such a big deal to the community, and I'm so thankful to Stuart and to Chris and to your getting this launched, City Manager Hicks, and all that you've done. It's my opportunity. Am I introducing Mike? Okay, it's my opportunity to introduce Mike Turner. I apologize. I have a talk I'm giving to a bunch of military officers at Sinclair on procurement, so I'm not dissing Mike because he's in a different party when I leave, when I introduce him. Because we have had a terrific relationship serving, but not just the Miami Valley, but his service really, from the work he's done, has gone way beyond Clinton County and Clark County and Montgomery County, and the region he actually represents has gone way beyond that in what he's done on veterans issues, what he's done on procurement issues, what he's done in serving this community. So it's my honor to introduce Congressman Mike Turner. Thanks, Mike.
Thank you. Well, first off, let me thank IRG and Stu and Chris. Thank you for joining our community and what you've done here. And let me congratulate the city manager, the mayor, your leadership here, and your city council and the county for what they've done in being a partner, ensuring both that the workers here were taken care of as this facility closed, and that we looked forward for economic development. And of course, to our Secretary of State, thank you for your continued leadership in looking at how we do economic development in this region. I do have to say that Senator Brown has been an incredible partner for my office. As we take up issues for Dayton, Ohio, his office is always helpful. His staff and the senator takes an interest personally. It's been nice to have someone working so closely with our office to be a team together. Well, I think there are three things that are important about today. The first is that this plant has been saved. We're not going to be looking at concrete slabs here. We get to look at these buildings and their economic potential. The second is that we have IRG and a company that has not just a great interest and resources, but talent. We can look at what they've done in other communities, what they've accomplished, as we look to this site and think, what are the opportunities here? I think the third thing that we have to look forward to is that this is our opportunity and this is our to-do list. This is an empty plant where we have a tremendous opportunity to create jobs. We have a team on the local, state, and federal level behind you, and we have a great company for it. We look forward to what you're going to do here, and we look forward to being your partners as we do that to-do list. Thank you. They didn't come to introduce you, but I will. Are you introduced too? Well, and I get to introduce John Houston, and we have all watched with excitement as John has blazed a trail through Columbus and has become a leader in the state, and at the same time has made certain that his hands are here in our community helping us for economic development. Now, our Secretary of State, I was just asking him, how do people address him? Because Secretary of State's a pretty long title. And John was saying that, well, you know, from having been Speaker of the House frequently, people refer to him as Speaker Houston from his leadership there in the House. But we're really proud of what he's accomplished, and that he's here today representing our community. And to us, as he had indicated to me, he is John Houston.
Thank you, Congressman Turner. And I know that you and Senator Brown played a really important role in making sure that IRG had a chance to acquire this facility, and thank you for your leadership. And it's great to see so many. You know, it's always fun when you're part of an event like this where there's so many people from the city to the county to your state and federal officials being part of the success. And I know that for years I used to drive past this facility on my way to work, and I know that for many of you who might have done the same thing, there was a sense of pride that you had when you went past this facility and you saw that, you know, this is happening here in the Dayton area. We have this tremendous facility doing this great work. I remember when there was a Teamster strike and they couldn't ship the cars out of here, and it looked like just an ocean of SUVs surrounding the area, and it was just an amazing, because that really gave you an example of just how much work and production happened here and how important this was to our economy. Equally, it was just as depressing when you drove by after it closed and then you didn't see any of that. And that's why I think this day, for those of us who both intellectually, economically, and emotionally have been invested in this facility over the years, that we have to have a special sense of pride and joy about what's happening here, and it's a chance to feel good. But I do want to take a moment to tell you what you have in your partner here with IRG, because I had a chance to meet Stuart Lichter in 2006 in my office, when soon after I'd become Speaker of the House, where he came representing a development in Akron, where they were going to redevelop this facility there and put the new Goodyear headquarters. And they asked me to come up at the invitation of Mayor Don Pasqualek, the mayor of Akron. They said, come take a look at this. We think this is a great idea. And I saw the facility and I thought, wow, if they can redevelop that place into a Fortune 500 headquarters and make it work economically, they can really do some fantastic things. And before the end of the day of my tour in Akron, I said, you've got to come to Dayton. Because at that time, if you recall, it wasn't really about this facility, it was about Delphi. And we got Stuart involved and IRG involved in some of the Delphi work. And then later, you know, not knowing that at the time, then this facility eventually became vacant, and we had a chance to continue having that conversation. But Stuart is right. I became his continual agitator for many years after that, trying to get him to be focused. in Dayton because I know that there are a lot of demands on his time and resources. And then they found a great partner in Woolpert, that we have a company with national expertise at doing redevelopment, and then a great local partner in Woolpert who's been here for 100 years, who understands the community, and that partnership along with local government and state and federal government really made this day happen. But like any great announcement like this is just the beginning. There's still work to do to make this entire facility viable. There are venture capital opportunities for anybody that wants to get involved in that, would like to help develop some of the potential here. But I've seen the plans. Amazingly enough, I have so many people come see me, and I actually saved Shane and Stuart and Chris presentations that you have given me in the past so that I could hold you accountable for everything that we talked about. And I want to tell you that I have a lot of times people that come see me and they don't follow through and they don't deliver on what they said they were going to do. And I want to tell you that from everything that I've seen from IRG and Woolpert in this project, that they are exceeding expectations. They are delivering on everything they said. And I really believe that this is something that we can get excited about and that will serve as the foundation for an economic regrowth and rebirth in this area. And Mayor, I know that nobody wants to see that more than you, and I thank all of you for the work that you've done and being part of this today. Thank you.
I think that concludes the program. I really want to thank everybody for coming, and I want to assure you that we're going to see you here again for lots of openings in the future and lots of companies arriving here. We will stay around to answer any questions that you have. So again, thank you.
I'll get you guys up on the stage for a photo op real quick.
Okay. They'd like a photo op upstage, on stage of us.